purposely train yourself to build resilience. But hey guys, if I can do it, as long as you have discipline, consistency, and dedication, you can do it too. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first ever episode of the Makin Mastery podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in wherever you've come from. I appreciate it an absolute ton. Thank you very much. So, my name is Ollie Makin. If you've never met me or seen me before, I have started this podcast, the Makin Mastery podcast, and just going to give you a little run through of what this episode's going to be. Only time I'm going to run through, a sort of overview of an episode, because it's the first one. It's a little different. It's going to be a bit more of an introductory one, this episode. We do have 3 questions to answer and sort of a topic to discuss and to cover. But it's just going to be a quick 20-30 minute episode, just getting to know a little bit about me and, the podcast, the story behind it, all that sort of stuff. So, a bit about me. Once again, my name is Ollie Makin. If you've never met me or seen me before, whatever, thank you very much for tuning in. My background. I am a musician, a music producer. I am an athlete. I played soccer, football, whatever you want to call it, for about 12, 13 years. Currently been doing martial arts for the past year. Love it. We'll discuss that in, future videos, but love it. Martial arts is amazing. I currently am studying commerce, which is like online business and marketing at university. I have an array of certificates, including digital marketing certificates, data analytics certificates, running online ads, more specifically Google ads. That was a Google certificate course, yes. That certificate as well. I have attempted and failed multiple dropshipping businesses. 2, so not multiple. But with that, I have, I think, a certificate on website design and building, that sort of stuff. So, Shopify. I will just specify Shopify. But anyway, enough about me. You're probably bored already. And where do I live? You can probably see, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can probably see the sun glistening on my face. Beautiful sun, not beautiful face. I'm not trying to say that. I live in sunny side, Western Australia, Perth, Western Australia. If you're watching this on YouTube, comment down below whereabouts you are watching this from. That wasn't English. Whereabouts you are watching this from. Chances are from Perth. But if not, I would love to know where from. Now, backstory of this podcast. Why I've started it up. What's the aim? What's the end goal? And what was the inspiration behind it? The name, probably would have figured that out by now. Makin Mastery is my surname. And the story behind it. A goal of mine, recently anyway, has been, I wouldn't even say recently, past few months maybe, something on my mind that I thought that, I think personally would be amazing, would to just be connect and network with as many people as I can from as many different paths, backstories, occupations, all that sort of stuff, as possible, as many as I can. I think just connecting with different types of people with different backstories, all that sort of stuff. It's always amazed me. It's always fascinated me. So the inspiration behind this was to connect with those type of people and hopefully to get regular guests on my podcast and understand how they've got to where they are today, the difficulties and, the, I was going to say backstabs. That's the difficulties and everything that they've faced, and how they've managed and learnt to build resilience, and even if there's roadblocks, how they've gotten past those and all that sort of stuff. Life advice, business advice, creativity tips, all that sort of stuff. That is the main inspiration behind this, to take my point of view on things, get somebody a complete I might know them, but to you guys, chances are complete stranger. You've never met them before. Two people with two very interesting backstories, two very different occupations, working for the exact same goal is to be successful. But even then, what do you determine as success? Just getting other successful people's opinions and opinions on those sort of questions. And another goal is to eventually, because I've had to write down my own questions, which is fine, totally fine, but eventually answer the audience and you guys' questions as well. You send through questions, we answer your questions from two totally different person's perspective, and yeah, give creativity tips, life advice, business advice, how to become successful, how to become physically and mentally stronger, how to become more at peace with yourself, everything. I want to cover almost everything. So it's a big shout, absolutely. But we'll see where this goes. So that is pretty much the inspiration behind Makin Mastery. How to master yourself. Pretty much. That's mainly why the name Mastery is in it. Mastery is in it. How can two people, myself and whoever the guest is on the podcast, how can two people assist you in mastering oneself or yourself watching the podcast? So I blabbed on a little bit there, I do apologize, but that is the main inspiration behind the Makin Mastery podcast. So let's get into it, shall we? So again, I have written these 3 questions myself. Please, I have multiple ways of people messaging me. If you don't want to comment down a question, if you don't want to comment on YouTube a question, DM me on Instagram, or comment on a TikTok, or send me an email. I'm pretty sure I have my email out there somewhere. But if you ever would like a question, any question in terms of self-improvement in any aspect, it could be, how do I improve my deadlift? Or it could be, how do I... if it's a music question or a creativity question, yes, absolutely. Again, I'm a music producer. Music producers, feel free. How do I get my drums louder? Something like that. It's very specific, but again, this is more life stuff, self-improvement sort of stuff. So how do I improve my mindset? Boom, shoot away. But yeah, let's crack on with question 1, shall we? So question 1, how do you define success personally? And how has that definition evolved over time? Now, I really like this question because I'm not sure if I've discussed my age yet. I am 19. Now, I think out of all 3 of these questions, the first question I can answer the easiest because I'm 19. Am I millennial? Gen Z, am I? One of those ones, like the new generation, sort of TikTok generation, that sort of stuff. I'm part of that. So how do I define success? I'll tell you, this is why I like this question the most out of all 3, because my definition of success has changed drastically recently. And I think for anybody else born within, is it Gen Z or is it millennial? I actually cannot remember. One of the two, right? I'm born in 2004, so that's sort of, we'll just say TikTok era, right? Anybody else born in TikTok era, I guarantee they've got, I'm not fighting, that's my chair. Guarantee they've got a very, very broad, huge definition of success. What I mean by that is, well, put it this way. I read the other day that, I actually didn't read it, I heard it from Alex Hormozi. If you don't know who he is, go look him up. He's a god in terms of, business, life advice, self-improvement, all that sort of stuff. But Alex Hormozi said that he read, so it wasn't me that read it, but he read that over 52% of high school students in America believe that they were going to be a millionaire one day. Obviously, high school students, most of those are, well, all of them, sorry, are within the TikTok era. 52%. Oh, I think by 25, sorry. No, I know it's by 25, not I think. So let me just add that in. A millionaire by 25. I do apologize. And what he went on to say is currently, right now, less than 1% of the world's population is a millionaire by 25. Well, it's less than 1% of millionaires under 25 as of right now, globally. And 52% of kids in just one country think there will be a millionaire by 25. So, and why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? It's because of TikTok, it's because of Instagram, it's because of social media. And some of you may be thinking, it's a bit rich, mate. You're literally living, you're born in that sort of era. I understand. That's what I mean. I used to be like that. So in terms of how has my definition of success changed, it used to be, I'm going to be a millionaire by 20. I mean, I could still be. I'm not 20 yet. But I definitely used to be within that category of, yeah, I'll be a millionaire by 20. 25, yeah, I'll have tens of millions by then. Easy. It has to happen. It has to happen because I say it happens. So absolutely, I used to fall in that category. And I personally believe there's no shame in it. It was a phase. I feel everyone in this day and age, in my generation, goes through it. A lot of people, anyway, not everyone, a lot of people. So how do I define success now? How has it evolved? And again, if you missed it, I did say that my definition of success has changed drastically in such a short period of time. I'd say like in the past month or two, not even 2 months, month and a bit maybe. I would love to be rich. I think everybody would. Well, again, what is rich, right? Bob Marley, pretty sure he says something about that. I would love to be a millionaire someday. We'll say that. I think everybody would love to be a millionaire, right? There's a difference between millionaire and famous. You can be an unknown person with $1 million, right? Because some people think you're a millionaire, all the fame and all that sort of blah, blah, blah is attached with it. But no, if you could be a millionaire, would you take it? Absolutely. I think everybody would take it, right? And you can choose the side effect. You can choose to be famous or not. You would take it, absolutely. So I would love to have millions of dollars in the bank account. But as of right now, my definition of success, am I saying it's right? Absolutely not. Again, just advice, right? My definition now is more so looking for financial freedom. What is financial freedom? How can you be financially free? Is that millions and millions of dollars? Well, you could be pocketing $10 million a year, but your expenditure could be 12 million. If you tell someone, yeah, I make $10 million a year, oh my God, that's amazing. But I spend 12 million. Okay. That's not financially free, right? You know what? You're still, you're broke, you're in debt. So financially free, mate, is having enough money to the point where you don't have to worry about spending it, right? That could be 200K a year, that could be $1 million a year, it could be 20 million a year, it could be, I mean, this is a very drastic example, but it could be $10,000 a year. If you're only spending 2,000, 8K, save. Obviously, that's not like the exact definition, but that's my view of it, being financially free, to the point where, I can go on a shopping spree and not worry. I can go buy a new car and be like, oh, it's not broke the bank. I can buy another 2, 3 of these, easy, and still have money left over. I can buy, well, a goal of mine is to retire my parents. Can you retire your parents and still have and still have enough money to do it again and again and again? That's financially free. So that's a factor of success for me. Another one is obviously happiness and just being mentally, mental clarity is important. if you're financially free, but it's really muddy in your head, and you're not doing so well mentally, you've heard the saying, money doesn't buy happiness. It buys a lot of things, but does it buy happiness? Again, I can argue, you know what I mean? Like I've said before, I have definitely said before, and I still somewhat agree. At least a little part of me does. If you're unhappy, but you've got millions tons of money in the bank, you can go book a holiday to Ibiza and go ride a jet ski. It's gonna help, right? It's going to help, of course. But then you're gonna come back, and then you're just masking the issue. So money does help with happiness, but it's not the cure. If you're not mentally right, if you're not mentally there, that sounds really bad. If you're if you're unhappy rather, and you're struggling mentally, not a lot will fix that. Only you can really fix that, in my opinion. It's very difficult for you to fix it long term without really drop my pen about without really fixing that yourself, because you can go on meds and all that sort of stuff, but it's only short term, right? So another factor is mental clarity and just being happy, overall happy. Location freedom. I would love to be able to live in a beautiful place and not worry and be like, and go on holidays whenever, not so much whenever I want, but let's say I'm living in Germany, just for an example. And then, work's full on, but I decide to take a month, for myself, a month off for myself. Let's go to, trying to think of a place. Capri for a month. Let's hire a boat. Of course, again, that's financial freedom. But I can do that. I can travel when I want, whenever I want, most of the time. Anyway. So that is another factor. So we got financial freedom, location freedom, mental clarity. And what else? This is all off the dome, by the way. I don't have this written down or anything. I would say another factor would be influencing and inspiring other people. Especially, this is very personal to me anyway, because if I was born into wealth, like I live in a beautiful estate, I'm in a beautiful country, like, and I got a roof over my head. We're not poor, right? But we're certainly, like, I'm not born into wealth, right? And I'm, just some ordinary. Well, I don't like to class myself as ordinary, but I've gone down so far the ordinary path, Australian school kid path. You play a sport, you go to school, graduate, you go to uni, figure out what you want to do with your life. You know what I mean? It's not like I was born to with like my dad as the Prince of Dubai or something. You know what I mean? Like, becoming successful for me is would be very personal, because then I truly believe anybody can do it. And because I've always told myself this was more for sports, but I was never physically gifted for sports. There was a lot of kids that were quicker than me, taller than me, stronger than me, all that sort of stuff. But what I knew I had was when I had a goal, when I had a vision, a focus, I was a laser beam, tunnel vision focused on that goal. So mentally, I feel I am gifted. That sounds bad. You know what I mean? I feel like if there's anything that I have been gifted with, it's the mental side. It's the goal driven side. But I honestly believe I learned that just from trying new things, sticking with them, seeing that I can do something with them, and then going on to the next thing and doing it with that again. Blah 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 blah. So making it for me would be amazing, because then I can look down and on kids growing up it doesn't even have to be Australia, just anybody who deems themselves as an ordinary kid and be like, I made it, so, you can too. No excuse. Because I feel a lot of people look at wealthy people and successful people, and they'll be like, oh, he was definitely born into that. Or, oh, he had all the opportunities thrown at him. And it's like, no, for me, if I can do it, you can do it, sort of thing. So I blabbed on again. I do apologize. So another factor for success for me is being able to inspire others, making it to the top, and then being able to say, "Hey guys, if I can do it, as long as you have discipline, consistency, and dedication, you can do it too. Literally anybody can do it." So I'll get into the second question because I feel like I'm going a little bit off topic. Question 2. Oh, so no, I'll just recap question 1. How do you define success personally? All that sort of stuff. So financial freedom, location freedom, being able to inspire others, and being mentally happy and okay, and clarified and all that sort of stuff. But I'm sure there's many there's many factors, many more factors. Those are probably the main 4. I've probably missed a few main ones as well. But how has it changed? Yeah, again, I used to be that kid. Like I've said before, I'm gonna be a millionaire by 20. I'm gonna live in Dubai, have all these nice cars, and yeah, that's it. That's life. What I absolutely am. Why wouldn't I work for that? That's like, creme de la creme. Like why I'm absolutely working. Like what? Shoot high. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see me right now. If you're listening on Spotify, I do apologize. You can't see me. But what I say is and this is like a big thing for me. Like I live by this. Aim for here, you'll at least make it here. Aim for here, you'll make it there. So shoot. Oh, I think there's a saying like shoot for the moon. If you don't make it, you'll land amongst the stars. Believe it goes like that. So I can just aim super high, super duper high. But the problem was because I still think like that. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, let's work to the point where I can live in Dubai and have all these cars, blah, blah, blah. But I used to think it was a given. I used to be like, you know what? I don't know what I'm going to do with my life, but it'll happen. No, it won't. You've got to work for it. So that's how it's changed over time. And there's more, I class success, there's a lot more of the mental side of it as well, like mental clarity and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's how it's changed. Question 2. Are there any mindset practices or rituals that you consistently follow for sustained success / progression? Now, something I used to do, and I definitely should start doing it again because I have stopped. I do apologize. That's me apologizing to myself because, again, I'll just quickly add in there. Yeah, so you are your best coach. Like, you know exactly what you should be doing. Listen to yourself when you're in coach mode, like I was just then. I know I should be doing this, which is meditating. That's one thing I used to do every night, and I used to get the best sleep. I used to be stress-free. I still am pretty stress-free, but like meditating is just amazing. 20 minutes. Everyone has 20 minutes in a day. I used to do it at night. Not everyone has 20 minutes at night, but you at least have 10. At least have 10 minutes in a day. You can meditate for 10 minutes, absolutely. So that was one ritual sort of thing. Back when I used to play football or soccer, I'll call it football, whatever. I used to visualize. I don't visualize. That is an absolute lie. I do absolutely visualize. I do more manifestation and law of attraction. So I still visualize. I used to do a lot of visualization when I played football. Less manifesting and talking it into existence. Nowadays, it's like a decent amount of visualization, but I will talk to myself. I'll write it down. Try and literally speak it into existence, manifest it, that kind of stuff. So I do that as well. I would highly recommend it. I speak to myself, so it's easier for me. I have no shame in it. But at least visualizing, or if you don't want to speak to yourself, because I'll speak to myself in the mirror sometimes as well. Some people find that awkward. Totally fine. Nothing wrong with that. Write it down. I don't know why. I can't see writing stuff down to be awkward. So you got no excuse for that one. Write stuff down. That is a way to manifest and you know talk/write things into existence and visualize as well. Not really a mindset practice or ritual, sort of maybe, but reading. Just I mean, mindset practices or rituals for sustained success/progression. Reading definitely results in progression if you're reading the right things. I mean, reading full stop, it's got tons of benefits. I'm talking mainly fictional here, but non-fiction, I only have non-fiction books. Reading actual informative educational books, it's so good. It's really good. Of course, you can learn a ton on YouTube, TikTok, all that kind of stuff, but there's downsides, like I was gonna say your wingspan. Your attention span diminishes. I feel like that's the main thing. Your eyes go funny. Especially if you're doing it at night. Good luck trying to fall asleep. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I can go on my phone for like an hour before bed and fall asleep. Yeah, mint. That's great. It's like the same people that drink coffee before bed. Oh, I can sleep fine. It's the quality of sleep. You can sleep for 8 hours, but I guarantee if you're on your phone or drinking coffee before bed, you're getting like 3-4 hours of actual good sleep. If that. If that. So reading, I would chuck in there as well. Trying to think of anything else. There's definitely a few that are missing, but I will go on to the third question again, trying to make this episode a little shorter. Third question. Should I recap question 2? No, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. So meditating, manifestation, visualization, and reading, I would say were like 3 main ones in terms of, mindset practices and rituals and that sort of stuff to get me going and, see progression and success. Question 3. Can you discuss the role of resilience in your journey and know how you, I can't read my own writing, in your journey and how you bounce back from setbacks? I really like this one, mainly because I actually recall a period when I was younger. I must have been about 12, 13 years old. I think it was around about that time. And I used to do a lot of extra training for football, outside of team training, that sort of stuff. And I remember once a coach told me, it must have been about 12, I was maximum 13. Oldest 13. I know, I definitely not, I wasn't any older than that. I remember the coach saying, he's good, he's really good, but he needs to build resilience. He gets told he does something wrong, or he needs to do this better, and he just curls up in his own little shell. He needs to build resilience. He needs to get mentally stronger. And I worked so hard, I don't know, for like 2-3 months, trying my absolute hardest to ask for feedback. And being asking for critical feedback, getting used to hearing it and actually acting on that. And it changed me. And I feel my resilience is I am confident in saying that I am incredibly resilient. Not just because of that. Not just because of that at all. I've had setbacks, I've had people, talk down on me and all that sort of stuff. But I purposely took the time to work on my resilience. A lot of people will think, surely resilience just naturally comes, right? If people are belating you or people are putting you down, you learn eventually how to build thicker skin. No, not at all. The way that I did it, you ask for feedback consistently, critical feedback, you act on that. I feel like that's the main way. That's one of the best way. Of course, you can naturally build resilience. Like if you grow up in a very harsh, aggressive environment, I don't know, like maybe you play on a sports team and everybody's a dick. everybody's an absolute asshole to you, you're naturally going to build thicker skin. But what I'm trying to say is you can purposely train yourself to build resilience by constantly asking for super duper critical, maybe even borderline harsh feedback. Because then not only do you get used to hearing that, but also hearing it and actually doing something about it. You know what I mean? Going back to that sports team example, if you're in a sports team and people are like just blading you and constantly screaming at you and putting you down, there's nothing you can do about that. But if it's in a scenario where you're asking for it and it's also something you can act upon, I feel that is one of the best trainings for building resilience. That's what worked for me anyway. So that's how I mainly built it. Again, I've had setbacks. Well, I'll probably say the most recent setbacks have been knockbacks from labels. Sending my music to record labels. A couple of them being really nice, and then a few of them, like I've worked really hard on like 2-3 tracks, and then some of them were like denied, and one of them was like, "Sorry, we don't take 3-minute songs," and that's not harsh. Not at all. But it's, you work so hard on 2-3 tracks and you've been working on it for like a month only for you to get a 1-word reply. And it's like, damn, okay, that hurts a little bit. But that's like nothing to me. I'm just saying that's probably the most recent setback I've faced. But I've had many. What's in my mind right now is I was about 15, I think about 15, when I was going to play state for the second time. And a week before we were supposed to leave, I broke my wrist. So that really, kicked me in the nuts and was like, I played state 3 times, but it could have been 4. There's, if you go through the trial period, you get picked for the team, and then you're training, and then you got train on, so you've been picked, but you're still trying to keep your spot, and then eventually you try and get it, and then you play training games, and then eventually you filter out, okay, who's going to start, who's going to be benched. I was starting a week before we leave. Boom, snap your wrist. It's like, wow, okay, so I worked that hard for nothing. Again, that was just another very specific example. But that's just, how that's like a couple of setbacks that I've had that I can recall. That's how I've built resilience. Again, let's go back to the breaking my wrist example, what I just talked about. How did I build resilience from that? Be upset. It's perfectly natural. You've got the right to be upset. You know what I mean? Like, it's tough. You're supposed to go to state. You're looking forward to it. You work so hard. Boom, you break your wrist. Yeah, be upset. But then eventually I basically got over it. You know what I mean? I didn't dwell on the past. I didn't dwell on what happened. I did what I could. I rested. I did keep ups. I was kicking against the wall. I was doing whatever I could. So then guess what happened the next year, guys? I played state. So I could have let that be the end of me. I could have been like, oh my goodness, this is the worst thing that's ever happened. I am never going to trial for state again. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to play football again. But no, I got my cast on, and then a week later, I was kicking a ball, doing everything I could to make sure I was ready for when I got back. Got back, whole year later, boom, went to state. Believe that was Coffs Harbour. Was it? No, that was Bali. I went to Bali. That was cool. Because the year before I broke my wrist, that's when I went to Coffs Harbour. But the year of breaking my wrist, I was supposed to go to Coffs Harbour again. Anyway, you don't care about that. But yeah, that's another way to build resilience. Like, something happens, how do you bounce back from that? Do you let it, swallow you up? Or do you go, okay, cool, that happened. I will allow myself to have a little period of time to be upset about it, but then I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to change. I'm going to, make sure that I'm going to make sure I bounce back from this, basically. So that's another way to build resilience. Can you discuss the role of resilience in your journey? Yeah, that's basically it. Okay, I thought I didn't answer that part, but yeah, that's the role of it. So now, oh no, it is sort of. Basically, you know, with the resilience, with the resilient self that I am, how does that help me in music? How does that help me in business? How does that help me in life? When I face setbacks, just like getting knocked back from record labels, do you think I dwell on it? Absolutely not. I send it to more, get knocked back. Okay, that's fine. I'll release it myself, which is what I do. And then guess what? I'll make some more tracks and I'll send them to the exact same places. If I got a knockback from my first ever label, one label is not a lot, by the way. If I got my knockback from my first ever label, which was only like 2 weeks ago, something like that, and cried and be like, I'm never releasing music ever again, I probably wouldn't have even started this podcast, to be honest, because I'd be so ashamed of myself. But I was resilient. In fact, I'm not even joking. I wish my mom was here. I would literally call her in because she was with me when I got the email on my phone. I smiled. I was like, oh my God, no way. I was just happy at the fact that I got a response. I was like, I got my first knockback. And she's like, oh my God, even she was excited. So again, that's resilience. I feel like a fair percentage of people would have gotten their first rejection from whatever. Maybe that's a state team or a record label, or I don't know, you got cut from a cast, you're an actress or actor or something like that from a play, right? Or you got a rejection letter from a university or college, whatever. I feel like a lot of people would dwell on that and be upset for a long period of time. But I literally looked at I saw the email and I smiled. I was like, oh my God, no way. I looked past the fact that I got rejected. I was like, I got a response. I got rejected. Okay, let's see what they said. That was one of the ones that just said denied. But I read that as, okay, my song is so bad, I couldn't even get some personalized feedback. So what did I do? I made sure that my next few songs were even better, were so good, amazing. And I actually got another response from them for another song about 4 or 5 days ago. And I actually got personalized feedback. So there you go, right? I could have dwelled on the first email that I got and being super upset, but instead I smiled at it and I was like, you know what? Up yours. I'm gonna make you regret that. And set mini goals, I guess you could do as well, because I set a mini goal to be like, okay, the next song I send them, I want to either get signed or get some feedback. I got some feedback. So it means the next goal is to get signed. Nah. Hopefully. That would be amazing. That would be incredible. But more feedback would be amazing as well. Anyways, that is actually all 3 of the questions. So I'm going to wrap it up here. Again, I can see on my camera, it's been 30, give it 3 more seconds. 2, 1. 38 minutes. I did say I want it to be 20-30, so I'll wrap it up before it hits 40 minutes. If you've made it to the end of this video, I could not thank you. Oh, video episode. Sorry, I forgot you might be listening to this or watching this. Either or. If you've made it to the end, super appreciative. Like, it means a ton, especially for my first episode as well. Think it means the world to me. Thank you very much. So my socials, you can find me. I should have a link on all my socials to all of my socials, if that makes sense. On my Instagram, I should have my TikTok, my YouTube. On my YouTube, I should have my Instagram, my TikTok, that sort of stuff. But my name is Essentia on Spotify. That's ESSENTIA, Essentia on Spotify. My Instagram is Ollie Emkin, so OLLIEMKIN. On that, you will find a link to my podcast account and my music account. My YouTube is Ollie Makin, and I believe that's everything. I think that's all my socials covered. Yeah, so again, if you've got any questions, comment them down below or DM me, whatever. Ollie Makin. I've been Ollie Makin. I've been your host, Ollie Makin, and this has been episode number 1 for the Makin Mastery podcast. I'm saying for the Makin Mastery podcast, or for episode 1 of the Makin Mastery podcast. There we go. I do apologize for that. So once again, thank you very much for tuning in. I will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.